Hey everyone, I'm here to do a brief rundown of the World of Warcraft add-on called All the Things. This add-on is your one-stop shop for OCD players like me who want to collect every single transmog toy or mount, but don't know where to start. A little bit about me, I have been running the All the Things add-on for about 3 years now and love the add-on so much that I made it my main way of playing WoW. Try to collect items that are class, armor type, faction, or race specific that can only be collected from those specific categories. Basically, I try to collect all the things. So, with such a broad scope of collecting, all the things makes it easier to streamline and narrow down a specific path to your short or long term goals. Currently, I've completed over 15,000 unique quests amongst all my characters across my account, ranking me among the top 700 players in the world and counting. You can catch me streaming live as I work up my percentage score over at twitch.tv/allthewow. 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 Link is in the description. So first you can download all the things from any add-on library that you like to use. You can open up all the things by clicking the AI icon or typing /att and the main list will pop up. There it goes. You can right click the icon or the top of the main list to bring up these settings. Once you launch it, it will look a little differently from mine, but I will walk you through what most of the options do. Now, I am running the current version as of this recording, 2.8.3, with the World of Warcraft 9.2.5 patch. So your window may look different with newer versions. The dev, Creve, and contributors do a great job in updating the add-on as new content is added to the game and making general improvements, so it's always recommended to run the latest version. Any changes that are made in the settings will be updated in the main list. It's a little bit bigger here. The first tab that we will be looking into is the General tab, and this is where most of the adjustments you want to make for tracking purposes. In the top, it shows the current class I am playing, in this case a Death Knight. The account mode option is checked off, meaning if I only want to collect every single thing on this character, then that will be displayed. So this will most likely be your main character, whatever class it may be. If I click on the account mode option, the percentage is going to go down, as seen here. It says now you are tracking the below filtered items for all the characters on your account, so not just the Death Knight. So again, depending on you just wanting to collect for your main or your overall account, the account mode is where you will either activate or deactivate. Next will be the faction only, which is for what it sounds like, only your faction. So if you have all Horde characters and you don't want to create any Alliance characters, I wouldn't blame you, then it will take into consideration. But in any case, I am Alliance friendly, so I will keep that unchecked. Now to the actual things you want to track on all the things. First is the appearances or transmog. If you want to play dress up like I do, then you will have this selected. Next to it is the plus sources. If all you care about is just earning the particular appearances, then leave this unchecked. Doesn't matter if the item comes from a boss drop, a BOE drop, or a quest item, this will mark the item as completed since it shares its appearance among all the other items. Now, if you want to collect every single source of that appearance, you can enable the plus sources option. Now, this is for more of the hardcore collector wanting to collect every single item in the game. So for the completionist that wants to get every instance of the same 16 pixel boots that look the same, then this option is for you. Next are your heirloom and upgrades. So if we go to our heirlooms option, it will have the uncollected options, which are grayed out in your collections tab, marked for you to still collect them. Now with the plus upgrades option, this will filter through any of the heirloom items that still need to be upgraded. So for instance, this Stone Guard's bladed cloak I have here as plus 59 and it is marked with a golden border, meaning I cannot upgrade it anymore. So with the plus upgrades option available, any item that is not maxed out with that golden border, it'll signify that I still need to upgrade that specific heirloom piece. But if you don't care what item it is, then you can just uncheck that and it'll only keep track of the actual heirlooms that you need collected. Next is illusions. Those are your weapon enchantments, along with mounts, pets, toy box. Pretty straightforward. Under general things, we have two rows of checkboxes. The first one on the right would be if you want to track the selected item. The second checkbox on the left is for account tracking, meaning if you earned an achievement on your account with any other character or you completed a quest with someone else, it will be marked as completed on account, not necessarily this specific character you are on. So if you want to do all the quests or achievements on one character, then you will disable the second checkbox here, the account green check mark. Mostly we want to leave this on for sanity purposes and mark everything as collected as we play. Locked quests here are quests that you may not have access to complete on your current character anymore. Meaning there are multi-choice quests you could only pick one of and the rest you can no longer collect on that character. Well, this will display if you want to replay using Party Sync to be able to access to those quests that are no longer available. Again, whatever you want to keep track of here, quests, recipes, reputations, titles. Most people probably don't care about garrison followers or flight paths, so it's up to you if you want to have them checkmarked or not. Expansion things are items that are part of your systems or borrow power, and fun things like music rolls or selfie filters. Next, we'll go on the right for additional things here. We'll start with debug mode. As it shows over the tooltip, this shows everything in the game, meaning that piece of cheese that vendor sells, yeah, even that, potions, literally everything. So don't bother unless you want to go down a rabbit hole of every file that's in the game. To show all trackable things is useful if you want to have a list of trackable things that are part of an achievement or for an item. I use those for if I want to see what Venthyr mirrors up for when I'm in the Venthyr Covenant, and then I can see the set of mirrors, and then I can alt-click to show the coordinates of those mirrors. Collectible repeatable quests are your dailies, weeklies. Since they can be repeated, don't really see a need to collect since more than likely you've already done them. Show collectible cost group is a newish feature where it will track how much of an item is needed to collect all the things that require said item. So let's say I go into my currency tab and I see time warp badges. If I want to collect everything that requires time warp badges, I will need to have X amount. So if you see on the bottom there, estimated amount needed to obtain remaining things, 32,285. So I need that many time warp badges to collect all the transmog, all the toys, upgrade all the heirlooms, etc., whatever I have checkbox there. Same goes for hovering over an item in your bag. It will display a tooltip showing this item as well. I don't have it on this character, but it would keep track of something like pet charms, spare parts from Mechagon. It'll give you an overview of how many of the item is needed. Same thing with the currency tab as shown. Next is show completed groups. If you want to see what has already been completed in your list, by default, if an item is collected, it will just be removed from the overall list. Some people like seeing a section 100% completed. So if I click on here, it'll show the 100% items. So if I go to Dungeons and Raids, you can see that my Molten Core and my Blackwing Lair are 100%. Every single item has been collected in those raids. Show collected things if you want to see the specific items collected. In this case, I see Lucifron has 14 out of 14 items, but I don't know what the items are. But if I click on show collected things, and then if I expand, if we expand Lucifron, then it shows all the items from the specific category here. In this case, the Lucifron boss, check mark with all the items that were collected. So we'll turn this off since We don't need to know if we collected it because we collected it, and we'll turn off completed groups here. Just want them removed from the list. Next, we'll go down to list behavior. We can scale the list itself. So I made it a little bit bigger for you guys to see. So you can do that. Same with the mailing list, which I will go over shortly. Ad hoc is recommended to leave on so that only the current window you have displayed gets updated. And yes, you can have multiple windows open. More on that later. Expand current difficulty will minimize the difficulty since you are not currently in and only show you the active difficulty. So you only show me mythic drops and not normal drops if I'm on mythic difficulty. Born completed difficulty. If you leave this on, then you don't need this video since you collected every single thing in that difficulty. So fist bump to you. But it will warn you to zone out and switch to a different difficulty since you have other things needed in those difficulty modes. Show colors helps out to distinguish class items, faction colors. So if it's only a horde quest, then it'll show in red, alliance blue, etc. Show nested quest chain. I will show you a little bit later when we go over our quest progression. Sort by progress will just sort what group you are close to completing. Show remaining things simplifies it where it will only show you the number of things needed instead of the collection overall items. And show percentage completion with precision levels of decimal points for the percentages. This down here, dynamic categories, I will leave that as simple to have everything in its place for easier finding. So all that in the first general tab. Now let's move on to the tracking tab. Before, we'll go ahead and uncheck account mode to enable the tracking option. Over here on the right is just more general filters. So if you don't want to get every single random BOE drop or just don't want to PvP or do pet battles, then those options can be taken out. And in automated, you have your Shadowland covenants if you want to track while you're in that specific covenant. All these options will be grayed out if you go into all account mode. Then because it knows it's in all account mode, then everything will be checked off in weapons and armor. Down here, we have our seasonal items. So if you don't want to be reminded that you haven't gotten the Love Rocket or the X45 Heartbreaker mount, as it's known now, then you can switch this on or off. I leave it on so it gives me an idea of what certain event is active. I can focus on having that done. The unobtainable options here are just that, items that can no longer be obtained. But if you want to track your items that have been removed from the game, your Timeless Isle, Ordos, Legendary Cloak items, you can go here. Show all high chance. Me personally, I have Black Market Auction House enabled and Blizzard Balance, so I can still get the items, not by normal gameplay, but just putting in a auction bid. And of course, Blizzard Balance with the in-game store. Some people don't want that, so we'll leave that up to you. Next is the interface tab, which will show you your tooltip options when you hover over a specific item and what information is displayed. You can play around the settings here. I personally select these extra options here: creature ID, creatures list, item ID, quest ID, and quest givers. With those options enabled, if I want to pull up on Wowhead the item or see what mob drops the item, I can easily reference from the tooltip with the options selected. Next is the features tab, just how all the things behaves. Do you want it to open up a specific list when you first log on, etc. Celebrations and effects. This is what we are all after. When you collect an item, it gives the sounds that make you want to collect more and more, along with removed items. So in case a specific item is sold before learning it, then it'll play a different sound to alert you that you need to equip it to learn the appearance, and then you can sell it. Profiles is neat since you can create different lists for different things. So here I have a profile for mounts along with my default list, which shows everything. Instead of deselecting every option and just showing mounts, I could just enable the mounts profile and it'll show me all the mounts that I still need to collect. Sync will show all your characters ever created. If you want to blacklist a character, then you could just right click and delete it if you don't want their information to be saved by the add-on. And lastly, we have the About tab, which shows general information about the add-on, the developer information, along with the Discord Twitch, Patreon, merch, etc. So now we focus on the main list, but that's a lot of information. So let's break it down with the mini list. To bring up the mini list, we will go up to the icon and we will control left click and it'll bring up a smaller list. The mini list is by zone, so it will show you what you can collect on the current zone you're in. And when you move to a different zone, like I have strategically done so here, it will update to the new zone in real time. So here I am in Ashenvale, shows me all the things here. And when I go back to Jara, it updates. Very useful with the mini list. Within the main list, we have our individual sections, and mostly all of them are sectioned off by expansion zones. So if you want to go into Cataclysm, Raids and Dungeons, if you want to do the outdoor zones, let's say for Warlords of Draenor, I don't know why you would want to do that, but there you go. Let's say we want to do some questing. We'll go to outdoor zones. Kalimdor's looking good, but we need to work on Eastern Kingdom, so let's expand that. Let's pick a random zone here. Western Plaguelands, that looks a little bit low on the percentage. We'll go ahead and right click it. We can left click on the main list, but in order to section it off, I like to right click. And since we're in account mode, it shows us everything that we need to collect in Western Plaguelands as far as in an outdoor zone. So we have vendors with their patterns and the specific quests. So here we have a Alliance quest, which is blue, and a Horde quest, which is red. There are also yellow quests, which are neutral, which either faction can do. Let's say we want to start off with Ace in the Hole, which has 3 transmog pieces that we need to collect. If we right-click the quest, it'll expand to show us what we need to actually unlock that quest. So here's where all the things comes in. As you can see here, you can zone into Western Plaguelands and not find that quest because you have a lot of questing to do. So in order to get the Ace in the Hole quest, you do need to do these quests in that order in order to be able to have access to the Ace in the Hole quest in this example. We have purple quests, which are breadcrumb quests. They aren't necessarily needed, but if you want to track those, as you can see here, it has the collected option with a circle around the checkbox or the check mark. That means that this particular character has not completed that quest, but it has been completed on the character. So because this breadcrumb quest has already been completed on the account, I could just skip them and then start off with the first quest on the list. And then as I go down, it'll start removing the quest. And then finally I can get Ace in the Hole and get the specific transmog piece that I want to get. You can also alt right click on the quest. And if you have any coordinate add-ons like TomTom, it'll give you an arrow pointing you to where the quest is located. This is also handy for NPCs that you want to find. Very handy tool, the alt right click on an item. You can refresh any individual list by holding shift and left clicking, and it'll update the list in case it did not trigger it automatically. If you are in combat, the item will not show as removed as collected until you go out of combat. If it still shows that you haven't collected an item, you can always do a /reload UI. That usually solves it, or logging out of the game and logging back in. Lastly, I want to share 2 cool commands that you can make. I'm going to close these guys. First one is /ATT space WQ for World Quest. And a new window will pop up here. If I click on Update World Quest now, it'll scan my map and show all world quests that I have unlocked enabled. So on this character, I can go to Argus and complete the world quest here. And lastly is a fun one that I like to use. That's /ATT space random. And this will have a random item presented to you for you to go to collect. So right here, we'll go to change search filter and we can click on all the things, and that'll have everything in the game that you can collect. Or if you want to run a specific instance, collect a certain amount, so forth. So if I want to collect basically anything, if I just don't know what to do, I'll click on all the things, and it tells me I need to get Head Guard of the Haunted Forest. And if I hover over here, it's an Isle of Thunder vendor item. And down below, I need Helm of the Cracking Vanquish to redeem that item. If I re-roll, then it gives me these plate legs. We roll again. We have a rogue only recipe, Thistle Tea, and so forth and so on. So it's pretty handy. We can go again, search filter. Let's say we want to go after a certain mount. Bonehoof Tarless from the Necrolord Covenant. So again, pretty fun in case you don't necessarily know what to do. You can move through the random option here. So that does it for me. Any questions, you can always catch me again on my Twitch channel. Link is in the description, twitch.com/AllTheWoW. Drop in, come say hi. I'm open to answer your collection questions or anything in general. So hopefully you find this video useful. And don't stress out on collecting because I collected, so you don't have to. Catch you guys later.